Hi, good morning. This Friday morning. Hi, it's Leanne Boyd with this week's edition of Cuppa Courage Tips. I hope you all have your cuppa ready to sit down and have a little bit of education this morning about how your negative emotions can actually be positive for you. So, I'll take a sip and let's get into it. Okay, so this morning we're going to talk about how negative emotions can actually help you. They're not a bad thing. Okay, oh good, I just realised that my shirt and this being a pattern shirt and that being a pattern background don't really go together. But anyway, doesn't matter. We're off and running. Okay, so it's easy to think that negative emotions are bad, but in actual fact, they are your natural navigation system. Okay, when we empty our positive emotional cup and negative thoughts start to fill that cup again, it only becomes a problem and toxic to our mind and body if we keep it that way. Okay, continually pushing the unconscious buttons that keep this negative emotion flowing, that keep that cup of negativity full. Okay, so what we need to do, what we need to be able to do with negative emotions is to understand them and know how to control them. Okay, and know that they're natural. Your negative emotions are natural. They keep you out of trouble sometimes. Okay, so it's like when you get physical pain, the pain goes away when you take away the cause. Okay, but it's like accidentally putting your hand on a hot stove, right? It's painful. It damn well hurts. You take it away and the pain stops. Well, it subsides anyway. You put your hand back on the stove again and you get that pain, right? And vice versa. The pain will kick in again. Okay, so your negative emotions work the same way. It's our warning. It's our warning system. Our warning system for our emotions is our gut. Our gut feeling, right? Telling you that something is not right. It's sounding your alarm system, okay? Your unconscious mind is telling you that this situation, this person, this thing that you're doing is not right, okay? So what you need to understand, that this is a sign that something needs to change for you in your life, okay? So the process that I work with women, it strips all of that away, your past hurts, your traumas that you've experienced, and even conditioning, epigenetic conditioning that's been passed down through on your maternal side through generations. It has a healing effect on that. All those traits and cycles that have come with you into this life, it's all taken away with what I do. Okay, so I can help you get rid of all of that and then facilitate your transformation to a mindset of unlimited potential, confidence and happiness for your future. But what you need to understand, that if you keep putting yourself into negative situations or continue to keep the company of someone who brings you down, then you can't make change if you keep putting yourself back into those situations. Become aware and pay close attention to those triggers in your life. Those triggers that continually push you into a brick wall, leaving you just like a wreck. Have a look at what's happening when you feel those emotions. Who are the people you are around? What are you doing at the time? Where are you? What's your situation at the time that you get these negative emotional triggers? Maybe you just need to get that person out of your life. Maybe you just need to address something with them. Maybe you are putting up with ill treatment. Maybe that you're doing a job that's not in your higher good. Have a close look and become aware of what you're actually doing, who you're hanging with, and where you're putting yourself in your life, okay? Your negative emotions is a way your unconscious mind speaks to you and communicates with you. So you have to know the negative unconscious mind speak, or language if you like. Learn the language of your unconscious mind. Become self-aware. And if you catch this soon enough and become aware and make the changes that you need to make, then it won't become a physical issue for you. Because the issues can be in your tissues. If you hang on to something long enough, it's going to go into the tissues of your body and create havoc within your physical ability or physical being. Okay, so look for the learnings that you need to get from the feeling that you have. The learnings are not always in the mind, though. You have to make changes in your physical world. You have to stay away from that person, move away from those situations, even just change your environment to make the changes. So you have to make a physical change as well as a mental change. There are a few questions you can ask yourself to bring negative emotions into your awareness. Okay, and we'll go through some of those questions now. Okay, so the first one is, what was I doing when I felt that way? What was I doing? Who was I with? Where was I at the time? And what was going on when I felt those emotions? So make note of that. Make a mental note of it, make a physical note of it, write it down. But just become very, very self-aware of what's going on around you when you feel these emotions. So if I go back to certain places or see certain people that have caused me pain or put myself in situations that went wrong before, I get that pain too. I feel it in my gut, my chest and my head. I get a really heaviness in my chest, and my head can go really foggy if I put myself back in those situations. So most of the time I choose not to. Sometimes it gets beyond my control, but I move away from that area very quickly, move away from that person or that situation very quickly. I have to put, I have put my hand, that's when I put my hand back on that hot stove. Okay, I have stuck a stick in my wound and it hurts. Okay, I get triggers. You can get triggers to memories around situations and people and feelings. Those were not healthy for me. So I chose to move away. But sometimes, unavoidably, I can find myself there, and then the warning system goes off in my mind and in my body that I need to move away and out of that state quickly. Okay, so it makes me feel like crap when that happens. And it actually takes a couple of days for me to move on. But then it goes, because I've worked so much on myself, particularly with the process that I do, that it just goes very quickly. I recognize it, I move on from it. You have to draw a line in the sand sometimes and just give yourself a break and know that this is time to make the change, move on, and put positive things in your life. Okay. So I ask the question of you now, what are you doing, or what could you be doing in your life that you're not happy with? That you do out of the virtuous belief of being a good person or doing the right thing, because these are just really social beliefs of what it takes to be that good person. And we don't question that because it's like social expectations. And we put it down to just things that we have to do. And that's not the case. You think people expect it, that you do these things and they want you to do these things, but sometimes you just have to cut it and go, well, no, that's not good for me. That doesn't sit with me anymore. I need to not do those things to feel good about me and myself, my situation, what I'm doing. So just being in an environment sometimes will trigger emotions around something that really doesn't have to be in your life. You don't have to do anything or see anyone that you don't have to or want to. If you do, then it's become a choice. When I say I put myself in those situations, well, temporarily I did choose that. Realized the burn that it had and quickly moved away. Okay, so I recognize that for myself now. So if I choose to do that, it's a choice, and I choose actually to stay away from those things and be positive. So your reticulated activation system within your brain, it knows when you do a certain thing or see a certain person or be in a certain situation. It recalls that memory. It knows that you felt a certain way when you were in that, around those people, in that situation, doing that job. And so it gives that feeling to you again. And that's how it works. So this is the same. As I mentioned about the wound, this is the same as having like a wound, and you put a dirty finger in it and you stir it around and expect it not to be infected again, you know, just to test it. Well, don't do it. Don't put yourself there. You must realize that if you continue to put yourself there in that pain and expect a different outcome, that it's not going to happen. It's like the definition of insanity. If you keep doing what you've always done, expecting a different outcome, it's not going to happen. You'll just keep getting what you've always got. It's the same thing. Okay, so the other question I want to ask you is, ask yourself if what you are feeling is related to your hormonal cycle. Am I feeling this way because I'm in that PMT few days leading up to your period? That's that time of the month. You know, something might really trigger you and cause you to, you know, go off the Richter scale of negativity and emotion, when in a few days earlier or a few days later, you'd look at the same thing and go, that's okay. You know, you won't even blink an eye at it. So you have to look at where you are in your month and how your hormones fluctuate, because they do. And they do affect your emotions and do affect how you perceive things at the time. So wait and see if this feeling will rise and fall with your natural hormonal tide. So, you know, if this feeling is not there in 4 or 5 days, then that's probably what it was. It was hormonal, and don't sweat it. Don't make a big deal of it. Don't make your negative emotions the enemy. You know, make your negative emotions your teacher. They're there to teach you the things you need to not do, the people you need to not be around, the situations you need not to be in. They are your teacher. It's a sign that you need to stop and assess the situation and make a decision for yourself. A lot of the time, that is all that is required of you. To stop. Think about where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, and make a decision whether you actually want to be there or not. You know, the learning is that maybe you need to take a different action to what you're actually doing now. Okay, so if you've tried everything and nothing has changed, then you probably need to talk to me and ask me about how I can help you. You're probably dealing with a suppressed emotion. If you keep feeling something that has been linked to your past, then it's time to move on from, and you can't, it's affecting your life, you're stuck in that, then I can easily help you. That's a suppressed emotion, and you need to get down into that deep subconscious mind, go deep to the core of the reason why you're feeling that, and move on, and then it will no longer be a problem for you. If it's something from the past that has ignited negative feelings, thoughts that are within the content of your thoughts around a situation, then it's probably a negative emotion. So welcome these emotions, because they are your messengers for change. You know, your suppressed emotions are kind of like an onion. You know the layers of an onion. Sometimes you get rid of things from the top, and then other layers, you know, there's always layers beneath. There's quite a few layers, and we have, as women, layers of emotion. You remove one and something else will come up. You remove that and there's something else below. So sometimes we can take the surface emotions off, but we really need to get down to the core layers of that onion and get down to where it's really causing you issues. Okay, so, you know, simply your negative emotions. Also, ask yourself, am I living congruent to what I value most? It may be a sign that you're not living congruent to your own moral compass and your higher good in your life. So, for instance, if you're one of your top values is health, and you go and sit in a cafe and you have that icky sticky pudding that's on that menu, and then afterwards you feel like crap, well then you haven't lived according to your highest value of health. have you? You're going to get negative feelings around that. Same instance, if you go into that same cafe and you have the healthiest thing on the menu, you're going to walk out and you're going to feel great about yourself, and you're going to think, that was the best thing I did, best thing I ate today, and I feel great about that. So the process is different for everything that you value in life. You know, and your values can change from year to year. You know, one year my top value was courage, and the next year my top value that year was truth, and everything I did in my year was around that top value. So if you live a life according to your top values, then you're always going to be living a life that's true to who you are. So use those feelings as your internal navigation system for doing what makes you feel good. You know, the process I take women through, it kind of cleans the rust, if you like, of the antenna in your gut when you trust your gut feeling. Sometimes it can just get rusty when it's bogged down with all those emotions. And the process I do, that's really quick and easy and simple, takes that rust off that antenna. So it helps clean your internal GPS and keeps you getting lost along the journey of your life, okay? It really does help you make informed decisions for yourself, because you become extra self-aware. So just remember to look at where you are in life and if what you're feeling is hormonal or not. It could be that there's different hormonal in one of the different hormonal stages in your life, and they are at different times of your life. So I want you to get real about that, because your hormones do fluctuate. One day we perceive something as bad, and the next few days it's okay. So it's how we're women, how we're wired as women, and sometimes it's just how we roll. So I hope you've enjoyed this Facebook Live this morning and this week's edition of Cuppa Courage Tips. So I invite you to join me again next week on Tuesday, I think next week it'll be. And so thank you for joining me, and have a great weekend this weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again next week for Cuppa Courage Tips. Thanks for joining me. It's Leanne Boyd. Until next week, bye.